Okay, and we are live.
Hello.
Good evening, everyone. My name is JD Curry. I am the current promotions director for the Pioneer Paranormal Society, and I was the president from fall 2019 to spring 2022. I am joined tonight by Liz, one of the club's alumni and a good friend of mine that started with me in fall 2019 and was active in the club until spring 2021.
Well, thanks for having me, JD. As he said, I'm Liz Feist. I was the vice president of the club for about a full semester, and before that, I was the pretty much the Instagram person to make sure that everyone knew what we were up to. JD also used to call me the club medium.
Yeah, so she used to do the promotions directing before me. So Liz has had some spiritual Liz has some spiritual abilities that we got to experience during her time of being a member of the club. Liz, can you introduce yourself and can you tell everybody about your spiritual abilities?
Of course. So some of my main spiritual abilities is I'm able to sense emotions. Um, that is my way of communicating with spirits. Basically, I'll go into a haunted area and I will be able to feel their presence. And when I connect with them, I'm able to communicate with them through their emotions. And I've been able to really heighten that sense over the time, over my time with the club, and continuing on. I'm able to really take control of it and kind of turn it on and off. So if I don't want to feel any spirits' emotions, I don't have to.
So in an
Yes,
empathic way.
empathic. Yes.
So for tonight's event, we will be talking about some of the most interesting pieces of evidence that we caught during an investigation.
Mm-hmm.
Feel free to comment on the club's live stream on Facebook and YouTube. Just a reminder that this is an event for entertainment purposes, so the point is to have fun and enjoy the little pieces of evidence that we were able to capture during our club investigations.
Mm-hmm.
So, to start off the night, I would like to talk about a place that I've been a lot of times with the club, as well as on my own. A place that's been featured on TV and a lot of documentaries. A place that me and Liz knew we needed to investigate with a club, and did investigate the first semester. This place is the infamous Hinsdale House, Dandy House, in Hinsdale, New York. The house has been known to be very haunted. The club's evidence backed up the idea that the location is host to spiritual activity. So the first time that the club investigated the location was back in 2019. This was the first time we visited a location that has been featured on TV, so there was a lot of excitement and nostalgia. Over the course of the investigation, Liz was able to communicate with a few different spirits at the location using her dowsing rods and pendulums. She strongly felt a spirit named Mary had been communicating with her.
Mm-hmm.
The most interesting piece of evidence that we captured during this visit was the weird knocking noises that the cameras kept picking up in the woods behind the house. There have been reports of drums being heard in the woods, so these noises could have been that, or they could have been natural noises from the woods.
Mm-hmm.
Either way, some of these noises were interesting, and I have a video to show the noises that we captured.
There's supposed to be something else of interest up here. I don't know. I can't remember what he said. But no, there's something else.
Oh, the hunter. Oh, the hunter.
No, a physical landmark. That sounded like a drum.
So unfortunately, I couldn't get the music out of there, but I wanted to leave some like conversation to have context.
Mm-hmm. That
But
video brought back a lot of memories, just that little clip.
Yeah, that was a while ago now.
It was.
It was weird though, the middle clip, the several knocks in a row.
Oh yeah, it sounded like drums very clearly.
And then the last video sounded like a snare drum
Mm-hmm.
hitting on the outside of the drum, not the actual canvas.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I can't completely say that it's like the spirits or a drum noise, but I'm not so sure that at least the middle piece of evidence was the woods doing that. Because
Yeah.
it sounds weird.
Yeah, that didn't sound like any normal wood, like forest noises. It was very on rhythm. It sounded like a drum to me, for sure.
It's definitely very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So the club ended up returning to the location over a year later during the spring semester of 2021, and Liz's last semester.
Yeah.
And we caught a lot of interesting evidence. During the investigation, the club was joined by Dan Clace, the owner of the location. During the investigation, we caught a series of voices that sounded like the name Mary was repeated on the spirit box after asking who Liz was communicating with the prior visit. The video is altered to attempt to make it easier to hear the word, but the fact that the name is said twice on request is interesting than the fact that me and Dan also felt the room get cold shortly after. So that is this video.
Real clearly, can you tell us the name of the energy that you were speaking with? Mary.
Just to confirm, can you say Mary again, if that's correct?
Mary.
Okay, so I guess she wasn't lying. It was Mary.
Is it just cold right here, or is it?
No, I felt my legs got really cold all of a sudden.
I feel the Mary McMahon very strongly right now.
I don't know if you noticed, but there was like that second part that replied, there was like some sort of either smoke or something going by the screen, like visually, and I was like, whoa. What was that? Like when the spirit box said Mary, I noticed that. That was cool.
I attempted to make it easier to hear, but that geoport is like when you're listening to it through recording, it's kind of interesting to listen to and not always the easiest to understand. But we asked who it was. It said Mary.
Mm-hmm.
Then I asked it to confirm by saying Mary, and then it said Mary again.
Yeah.
So I would say that that's pretty credible.
I would too, especially because that was definitely the person I was talking to. Like that was 100% her name, and then when we asked that and they just confirmed it, it was chilling.
And then
like
Dan
you
was
said, you
like,
got cold.
Dan was like, "Hey, I have to write this in the book. There's Mary McMahon here also."
Yeah. My poor broken foot. I saw my cast in that. That brought
Oh,
back
yeah.
memories too.
Yeah. That investigation was interesting overall.
It was. I remember going out to the pond as well and just hearing a dog, and feeling like a dog spirit. And then Dan Cletus told me about a story of a dog getting hit on that property. So,
Yeah, just to make sure, his last name is Clace.
Clace,
That
sorry.
did not sound right the way you said it.
I thought that he said his name was Cletus. I don't know. It's all good. Sorry, Dan, if you're watching.
So we got a hi from Rashid, I believe you
Hi,
would say.
Rashid.
Okay, so later, while we were still sitting in the living room, there was an unexplained knocking that came from the kitchen. It did not seem that the noises would have been from the kitchen. I'm getting echo through that. Or never mind, it stopped. But
We're back and we're good. Sorry about that.
believe so. I'm not hearing any echo anymore. Later, while we were still sitting in the living room, there was an unexplained knocking that came from the kitchen. It did not seem that the noises would have been coming from the noises were coming from the kitchen. I could triangulate because of where each camera was sitting that it was coming from the kitchen. It doesn't seem like it would have been coming from the fridge because all of the knocks were at varying volume levels. I believe with a refrigerator they would all be at the same. But there were a few club members that weren't in the living room, but they were in the basement. Here's the video for the interesting experience with the confirmation that the other two club members were in the basement.
I did.
Yeah, I heard
There was also some kind of banging coming from
Yeah.
either there or
Oh,
downstairs.
that wasn't them in there.
it. I don't know.
They should be downstairs, I'm thinking.
I thought it sounded over by the door.
You guys were downstairs though, right?
Yeah, you guys were downstairs.
Yeah, we were downstairs.
Yeah, because we definitely heard something in
Yeah,
the kitchen. Like,
creaking
I
and
thought you guys were up by the Mike's room.
So yeah, the first two knocks were pretty loud, then the second two seemed to be a lot lighter.
JD, I can't hear you. I don't know if you can hear me, but I cannot hear you.
Any better?
Nope. I can see you talking. I can't hear you though. I could hear the video, and you can hear me, but I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me at all? Or
I can't hear you.
do you have your volume on?
Hmm.
If Viewers, can you hear me? Because my settings say that it should be fine.
No.
Okay. So it was just confirmed that it is an issue with your speaker.
Oh, maybe it's my thing. Maybe I can't hear you for some reason. Let me mess with my own settings.
Yeah, it should just be an issue with the speaker.
Hmm.
I'll give you a couple minutes to try to figure it out, because I can't really continue either.
I'm gonna try to leave and come back and see if that fixes it. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Sorry, everyone.
What were your guys' thoughts on the evidence so far?
Okay.
Any better?
Yes. Sorry. We're good. Good Lord.
Okay. And that's why you usually try to get on a bit early so that you can iron out all these things. Well, there we go. Definitely really cool, compelling evidence so far.
Thank you.
I had to ask the viewers what they thought because you had to figure out
Yeah.
the audio situation.
Sorry. I'm not a tech person. I don't know how to do this.
Okay, I'm just gonna start at the next piece of evidence.
Let's move it along. Keep it going.
So me, Liz, Jake, and Dan went to the pond later in the investigation, which Liz had already mentioned a bit of it, and we received a lot of clear spirit box communication, including a multiple word phrase. Here's the video for the spirit box communication.
Play ball. Bobby. Does Bobby know how to catch the ball good?
There was something.
Yeah. He's up there, I think that's it.
voice
Same voice.
several times.
Miznik? That one off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you like what we've done with the property so far? Are you glad we painted the house white again? Or did you like it yellow and brown?
Possibly pink.
Huh?
Possibly pink.
White?
Pink.
Oh, pink?
Yeah.
I also heard pink, but I wasn't gonna say anything. But yeah, I heard pink.
Sorry for that little glitch at the end, but because it made a weird noise. But
No, you're good.
that phrase at the pond is very intriguing.
Mm-hmm.
It was 3 different words, the same voice, and you didn't hear any other noises come through during that time, so it seems like it was all the same frequency that was coming through. And then the one word that was inside of the house, I believe it was the yes or yeah,
Mm-hmm.
or the EDI also shows that there's electricity going off at
Yeah.
the time. Very interesting to see that. And it didn't do it for any of the other spirit box words either. So the club did return shortly after this for a 3rd visit at the end of the fall semester of 2021.
Mm-hmm.
I was the only one who had visited the house before, but the investigation was also earlier in the day as compared to the previous 2 visits. While we were on the 2nd floor of the Hinsdale House, we had received several clear spirit box words that seemed to be said by a similar voice for most of the words. Here's the video of the most of the clear spirit box communication. So here's the video that shows most of the clear spirit box communication that we got at the location, including the words we received on the 2nd floor.
What's your name?
Robin, possibly.
Robert? Harry? Was that Harry?
Is Laura or Mary here?
Is this Ree Marie's Harry? Are you with Tom?
Is that just a dog?
Yeah. Tom is Harry's son.
Mom? That was the same voice, too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
The spirit box is so cool. I love the spirit box. Oh. I love when it was just so clear. It just said so clearly Robert. That was really cool.
The spirit box was working very well for that, and as our guest had said, it's pretty clear and very specific responses.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, for that, the getting the mom, then the dad, like that relates pretty closely. I'm not sure if we got anything in between that time. I am also not sure if those were ordered properly because of these short bits, at least for that video, had come from a video that I worked on a while ago, so I just put them together, so they might not be in the right order.
Yeah. And then they were talking about Laura, and I know Laura lived in Hinsdale House because
Yes.
Laura has a room,
Yep.
which always freaks me out. I don't like Laura's room. But yeah, so that was cool too to hear them say Laura's name like that.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just kind of out of it now because of the little technical issues that we had.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
good.
So the Hinsdale House has always given the club members great evidence, and it wouldn't be surprising to see the club continue to visit the location.
Mm-hmm.
Another location that the club has visited several times and received very interesting evidence is the Allegheny County Poorhouse in Angelica, New York. I will provide the proper owner's information in the comments so that you can reach out to her to set up your own visit to the location. The first time that the club visited the location was in the fall of 2019, before the club was officially recognized by the college. The location was sitting pretty much vacant at the time, but we found out that it was holding a fair amount of spiritual activity. While we were walking through the hallway, I heard a female humming noise that was picked up by the camera, but the three guys that I was with told me that it was Nick. Listening back to the video, it sounds very feminine, so that is why I am still considering featuring the clips in this video.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the video clip that I am referring to. And definitely let me know your guys' opinion about it.
Was that you guys?
No.
There's a home?
No, that was me.
Very quick, but it sounds like something else.
Yeah, that didn't sound like Nick.
And we
Like
worked
maybe
with
he
Nick
was
a
doing
lot,
something.
so.
Yeah. Like maybe he was doing something else, but that noise I don't think was him.
It's definitely very interesting.
Yeah. I'm a little sad I never got to go to the poorhouse. That would have been cool. Make a trip up there just to go there.
Can I show two comments at the same time or not?
Definitely a fake
So,
female groan. Yeah, that's what I heard too. It sounded very feminine. And whereas Nick doesn't have the most manly voice, he doesn't sound like a woman.
gee. It sounds different on a camera too. Like if it would have been Nick, it would have sounded further away, I would think.
Yeah.
Or fainter.
Mm-hmm.
But that sounds somewhere in relation to the camera so that it was actually picked up properly. Okay. The evidence does get a lot better after this. For this location.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot say that this is the clearest evidence or that it is evidence, but it is interesting nonetheless. We later were on the left side of the third floor of the building, and we began to say nurses' names and see if the nurses could communicate with us. After a majority of the names we called, we heard a clicking noise come from down the hall that we hadn't heard before starting to list off the names. We also did not receive the clicking noise after some of the names. Here's the video clip of this experience. Make sure to let us know what you think of this interaction. And this is going to be a longer one, so.
Nick names off a few names of people that might have died here. You'll hear this click every single time he says a name.
Miss Hannah Webster.
Can you come to us?
Miss Hannah Webster?
You guys might feel like get really cold suddenly. If she's gonna come to us. or static. Either way, it's not a negative thing, so don't freak out.
Christina Gorstoff?
Notice how it's only when he says a name.
Miss Francine Cook?
She's not. Oh, she's here.
Mrs. C. Bontrager? Miss Fred Dorano? My apologies again. Oh wait, no, these people.
The one time he said it, there was hustling, like shuffling back there.
I thought I heard like something. I heard a drop, but still.
It was every single time he said a name.
I'm not.
It was not a steady sound.
Yeah, I know.
So it's not water.
Hannah Webster?
Okay, I'm not sure why I was acting up and glitching like that. I will release them separately, each piece of evidence, so that people can watch it without the glitch. Was there enough there that you could see what I was talking about with the interaction?
I heard it. I heard the little bit of rustling and some like clicks, and I thought that was pretty good evidence myself. I remember seeing that video when we first joined the club, and you were like, this is one of the investigations we did. And I was like, oh my god, that's cool. Like, you can hear. That was my first time ever witnessing any kind of like evidence like that, so that was cool.
And all of this was before we even really had equipment. Like, I started out with the club when we were in it. I didn't really have any experience before that. We didn't have equipment, so that's pretty good communication for what we had at the time.
Yeah.
Later during our investigation, we went to the opposite side of the building to the top floor. We began asking questions to get interaction from the spirits, and we received the following noise after one of our questions.
Can you tap twice again to confirm that that was you?
What was that?
Oh, that wasn't me. That was not me. You guys heard that, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That was like a door creak or something, right? Sounded like a door creak to me.
That is one of my favorite pieces of evidence that I've captured.
Yeah, that one's really, really good too.
Nobody else is in there. It's just the four of us, and we're standing in the middle of a larger event space style room. And then from the end of the hallway, there's what sounds like a deadbolt lock. Like, I feel that that's pretty valid. I'm not sure what else would have created that noise. I'm not sure. I'm assuming it's got to be a lock. I'm not sure what other object would make that noise.
Not sure. It sounded like you said, a deadbolt lock to me as well, which is a little scary when you think about it. Like, why are you locking me in here? I don't want to be locked in.
See, I don't think there's any doors with locks either.
Yeah.
So unless it was residual, I'm not sure what it could have been.
It's cool though. That's a very good piece of evidence.
So the club ended up meeting the proper owner of the location because of the video we made the first time we visited the location. With the owner's permission, we returned for another investigation in the fall of 2021. During our return visit, we continued to experience spiritual interaction on the top floor of the right side of the building. We had set up candles as well as a propped up ping pong ball in the hallway to serve as interactable objects. During the investigation of the area, the candles were being blown out and the one went completely out. We later checked the area for drafts and we didn't notice any air movement. We may not be completely able to validate this experience, but it is an interesting interaction. Here is the video of the experience.
Interesting sound came from right next to you. Oh shit. Turn on the lights. You hear the noise from behind too?
I got a huge chill just now.
Are you here? Can you actually show us that you're here?
Bro, the candles are gone.
The candles just really lit.
You know what's the best part? The candles both blew. This one is still standing.
And that unless the wind came from that direction.
No, the way this draft is, that would have not been able to blow that candle out completely. And the fact is, the wind coming into this way would have easily knocked down this.
Yeah, that's crazy. Because even with a draft, any kind of draft, I don't think that it would be powerful enough to blow out a candle. So that's like extreme evidence to me, at least, that that candle went out. That was cool.
It's the fact that there was 2 candles and only the back one actually went completely out.
That's so cool.
And then the ping pong ball was propped up on a golf tee that was in a piece of wood. Like, there's an old game where you have a piece of wood that's in a triangle shape and then you have golf tees in it. And I just used the one golf tee and put a ping pong ball up on it because it should be easy to move for the spirits. And it wouldn't take them much to really move it. But if the wind would have been able to blow out the candle, it should have been able to knock over the ping pong ball also.
Exactly.
But there is other stuff that actually happens in that spot that adds to the validity of that piece of evidence. During the time that we were still in the area, I heard a weird noise and somehow the camera picked it up very clearly. In this video clip, it sounds like there are footsteps and a dragging noise. No one else happened to hear it, but I did check to make sure that it wasn't anyone else that was in our group. During the time that we were in the location, we had the door shut several times. Here's a video clip showing each time the door gets shut. So before that, I am going to run the piece that I forgot to mention, and that is the dragging sound.
Yes, as I want to see that.
If I can find it. I have a lot of videos on my dashboard here. That's the doors. So let me get this one working on being uploaded, and then I will play the evidence for the door. This is my fault. I didn't realize that I didn't upload this, but I've got like 20 different video clips.
Peak somehow. That was not.
I heard something.
I seen a black shape come out, like probably 6 foot high, just peek out.
On the right side?
There wasn't much there, but something foreign came out from all.
Was it from the same door, maybe?
So there's 3 doors, right? It's the one in the middle across from the camera or candle.
I hope you're not going anywhere like alone in this place.
Hold on. Riley, did you just do significant movement?
I really didn't move in a bed.
I did this.
Because something was moving.
I just shuffled. Yeah. I just shuffled.
Something was moving, like actually moving, and you could hear it.
I heard this only from Riley.
Yeah, that's what was annoyed.
I can't quite rule it out.
Okay, so that everybody knows that is the video clip that I should have played first. That is the dragging noise and the walking.
Yeah, I heard it.
Like, I'm not sure how the camera picked it up so clearly because it wasn't one of us moving.
Yeah, no, that's spooky.
And
like the
I'm
dragging
not sure where
sound.
that was coming from.
Yeah, that's so spooky, but I love that. That was good
And
evidence.
so those two things happen in that area, and then the door here also happened. So let me play that clip, and then we can talk about all of it.
Please tell me someone closed that door.
Which one?
That one.
No.
Did anyone down here enter that room and close that door?
I was the last one over here. I did not close that door.
It doesn't open it easy, close or open easy. Like a breeze, it would have to be a pretty strong breeze.
No, stronger than a breeze would have blew out that candle.
Huh. I did shut that door, right?
No, you did not shut that door.
So this is the second time.
Was it like that?
Purposely left that door open.
Hold on. I can confirm it. I know exactly how it was open. No, that was open as
Oh yeah, let's scare everybody else.
No,
Yeah.
no, this door was like this.
Smells pretty nice.
We left it like this.
We left it like that, and it got shut like that.
Yes, we left it as soon as you moved away from it. We left it like that.
I know for a fact we left
We
that
left
door
it like
open.
this.
Well, apparently whoever lives in here just doesn't want their dang door open.
Okay, because there was quite a few different clips. First, the candles got blown out. We went down to look at them. That was the first time that the door got shut. Then we relit the candles that we could. I think one might have had an issue with the wick, but still that doesn't take away from the two candles being like almost put out.
Right.
So then we went back, started asking more questions. Then we got the dragging sound and the footsteps. And then we went back and the door was shut. So
That's so
I'm
crazy.
assuming the dragging sound was the door and somebody was trying to shut it.
Possible. That's so crazy. And they
That
just don't like their
happened-
doors staying open.
Apparently not. Apparently that door was somebody that was pretty private.
Yeah.
But all of that happened probably within an hour.
That's a lot of evidence in a short time. That's crazy.
That poor house is haunted.
Haunted big time.
And the fact that all this happened in the same area on the third floor, on the right side of the building, the same place where the lock happened, from the previous semester. Like, it's astonishing.
It is. That's crazy.
So in the video that we did at the poorhouse, the time between the doors being closed is shown better for this event. What I'd meant to say there is for the full video, it shows how much time passed between the 2 times that the door was shut, as well as I just explained it. But it didn't just happen, like, it didn't get shut immediately after we turned around or anything. There was a good amount of time between. So the poorhouse is a bit of a hidden gem location, in my opinion. But there is a lot of spiritual activity and big interactions continue to happen at this location. Another hidden gem of a location is the Andover Haunted House. Though it is currently used as a haunted house attraction, the location has real spiritual activity. And if you ask the staff there, a lot of them have experiences to tell. During the investigation, we left the camera rolling in one of the rooms and we continued to investigate elsewhere. While the camera was in the room, a lot of activity sounded like it was happening in the room and surrounding it. Unfortunately, we lost the video from the other 2 cameras that were used during the investigation, but I can say that no one should have been around the room. Here's a video clip that recorded all of the auditory activity that the camera captured while recording in the empty room. The very first, what sounded like possibly a book falling over, sounded like it was from exactly in the room. Like, not very far away from the camera.
I heard something that sounded like something falling and like dropping, like a marble or something small, like a button or something, and I don't want to say that it gave me chills, but a little bit. Like, I got cold. I was like, oh, what was that?
Yeah, so
that was cool.
The little hourglass thing was switching between clips, but
Yeah, I like that transition. It was interesting.
that is also a recycled clip that I made a while ago, so that's why it's the way that it is. But if it would have been like the floor above, it probably would have sounded different because a lot of the noises had echoes. You wouldn't get the echo except for in the room. Unless I'm mistaken, but it would be in the space that it would echo, so you wouldn't hear it through the floor.
I agree with that, yeah.
So we later went upstairs as a group and began to use the spirit box to try to communicate with the spirits. And we received a lot of clear communication through the device. Here's the video spirit box session, and the video has not been altered other than cut to shorten the clip.
Hi. We're here. Talk
I
to
will
us.
literally buy you anything that you want if you make that phone go off.
So why not?
I heard my heart, but
My heart.
I've heard that ghosts have thrown things before.
And what's the point?
To show us
It
that
could be a
you're
fun
here.
game.
Yeah. Show us that you're here. Are we bothering you?
Thank you. All right.
They enjoy the company.
Playing in there, something like that.
How many people are here with us? Could you give me a number?
I want to see that. If you can do the phone thing, where you just have to press down on that with your finger and call Dylan. I will give you whatever you want.
yeah,
More
sure.
songs.
I think I heard yeah, sure.
What was that?
It's something about a rake.
So what do you think about that, Liz?
Oh, when the woman said my heart, like, oh, she sounded like she was in so much pain. Like, I was so scared for her. Like, that just sounded awful. Like, maybe that's how she died. Maybe she had a heart attack. It's awful, though. A lot of clear responses. I thought that was really, really cool. Was that Casey?
It was Casey Culver.
I thought so. I was like, oh, she looks familiar. Fun.
I don't remember where you guys met, but I'm sure you guys did along the way.
We only met when we did that like end of the year big
The Paracon.
podcast with the Paracon, yeah.
Yeah, that was that was interesting also. But
that was fun. I enjoyed that.
That clip was just SB7. It's sweeping through the radio channels, so anything that's long shouldn't really show up because of how fast it is sweeping through the channels.
Right.
There's not usually enough time that a full word comes out,
Mhm.
but this clip has the full words, and then at the very end it has what sounds like it could be a phrase or a long word. That nothing's sped up, nothing is altered, it's just the clip.
Yeah.
So at the very end, it's just a very long phrase that comes through, and the way that the device is designed, it shouldn't come through that way.
Mhm. Yeah, that was cool.
And for Andover, seeing a lot of people probably aren't as familiar with it, we did do a ghost tour, and we did have an instance where we were using an audio recorder and an actual word came out during that audio recording session that was not heard in real time, so it was not heard when the people were talking and asking the questions.
That's cool.
Yeah, Andover has a lot of hidden secrets. Well, not really secrets, but activity.
Yeah. Because everyone just kind of writes it off as like a commercial kind of haunted house where it's not actually haunted, but no, you got some really good evidence that it is.
Yeah, there is quite a few different places that are haunted attractions, but they are also actually haunted houses with spiritual activity.
Yeah.
And this happens to be one of those places. So I would recommend checking out the Andover Haunted House, and I would likely be returning to the location to do more investigating and events with it. Another location that we received some very compelling evidence at was the Wildwood Sanitarium, which the club visited in the fall semester of 2021. While part of the club was downstairs, one of the members seen a shadow figure next to another club member. The club member near where the shadow was seen then felt the air get cold near them shortly after. This was validated by another club member. Unfortunately, the video is blurred, but here's the video for that experience.
No, there was something in that doorway.
Were you just in the doorway behind me?
I thought it was the light reflecting off of the wood, but it stays there when I move the. It was staying there when I moved the light away, and now it's just gone.
Was that you in the doorway? Do you know who was in the doorway? Someone want to come, like, feel over here real quick? Because I'm really cold. Like, right over by my shoulder. And elbow.
How cold is it right there?
It's a bit cold.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, they
Wildwood,
sounded like they were calm. They were like, were you just behind me?
yeah, well, that's the way that Alex works. So they could see just about anything and be fine as long as it's not a wild animal.
Oh, really?
Oh, look at this. Nate apparently popped in. I definitely want to check out Andover Haunted, or Andover out. It looks like a special place. He's just been one of the people that I've worked with over the summer, so I
Nice,
wanted
hi
to bring
Nate.
that up. But Wildwood, I'm sure you've heard of Wildwood, right?
Oh yeah.
Wildwood has its fair share of stuff, and I am not surprised that they've seen a shadow figure. And then the fact
Oh yeah,
that
I'm not surprised.
the fact that they validated that by the cold spot and then another club member feeling it,
And they're like, oh yeah,
like
cold.
shortly after seeing the shadow figure. So the rest of the club joined these club members later on and started using the spirit box in the basement to try to communicate with the spirits at the location. While the spirit box was running, the club received the words, "It was me." I'll go ahead and share this video clip now.
Is the woman down here with us, or is she upstairs?
Chill.
Same. Anyone under?
Did it just say it was me?
Oh wow, no, that was another thing that kind of gave me a little bit of chills because I heard it so clear that it was me. I was like, okay, hi. Thanks for letting us know.
And that's in the same area as the shadow figure and also the cold spot.
So it was them.
But again, the spirit box shouldn't allow phrases.
Yeah, like full
sentences.
sentences.
That's not even like, you can specifically tell what it's saying. It's not a guesstimate of
No,
what it's
it was
saying.
clear.
So apparently all you need is a SP7 to get some spirit box words, because a lot of this evidence is from the spirit box.
Spirit
And
box
it
is
comes out
definitely
clearer.
a favorite of mine.
So the club did experience a lot of spiritual interaction at the location, but nothing else that was compelling enough to be featured for this event. We did have a lot of activity, but it wasn't anything too big to bring into this event. The Wildwood Sanitarium is well known for being spiritually active, and the club will likely be returning to this location.
Nice.
The only big investigation that we did the spring semester of 2022 was the Chittenango boat landing, which is an Erie Canal Museum up near Syracuse. The boat landing had buildings that were designed and built after the original buildings that were located here and were used for the Erie Canal. We found out about this location thanks to Kenny Harris, a paranormal investigator that also happened to be a staff member for Alfred State College at the time. For Chittenango, we got a lot of spirit box words during the day in the sawmill part of the boat landing museum. These words were received shortly after the club members asked questions. Here's the video of the words we received. Here's a video of the words we received. Some of the words of the word. Some of the
You're good.
The video, it is edited so that you can hear what the words are saying. This didn't come out as clear as some of the other evidence that we captured. But let me know what you think of these words that are in this video.
Do you remember your name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know my name?
That had to sound like Jacob. They either sound like Jacob or JB.
What room are we in right now?
There's somewhere.
Something. Can you say that again? What is your name?
Edward.
Edward.
Sounded like Edward and okay.
Did he say Edward?
That's
Sounded like it.
what it kind of sounded like.
Must have been pretty quiet. I'm not sure if they heard.
They did, okay.
So I did.
What is your name?
Zuko.
No.
Just said Zuko.
Can you say that again?
So, before I ask you what you think, Zuko is Jacob's house name for Pyro Zeta.
Okay.
So that's why it's that's why it's related.
Okay. So his name was Jacob.
Yes.
Cool.
And
I didn't know that.
That part was not an edit. It did say Jacob twice.
Yeah, I heard it. Yeah,
So-
that was crazy because he just asked like, "What's my name?" and it just said he said Jacob twice. That was cool.
Also said barn.
It said barn,
After
and it
which
said
building.
yeah. And then when you I think someone asked if they even heard it, and they said we did, like immediately. Like that was.
So I'm not sure if this came across in the video clip, but somebody was trying to do an introduction because we were doing a group spirit box session.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear the individual, so I'm like, can you say it again? And the rest was in the video clip.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, hey, yes, I already heard. I
Yeah.
know her name.
Wow, that's awesome.
Very credible.
Very.
Kenny Harris has been doing a lot of research on that location, and he's found a lot of stuff
Mhm.
from that location.
That's really cool. Sorry, it's getting dark in my room. I'm starting to.
So shortly after receiving this evidence, we started playing a number game where we would count and then leave off at a certain point that we did not tell the spirits. in hopes that the spirits would continue counting. Here is the video showing the voices that we captured while doing this experiment, this game.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
You heard a 7?
It was quiet.
Quite possibly, but
I heard 7.
There's also 8 in a very like monotone, quieter voice.
Okay. That's really cool. Because I was like, oh, there's no way like that it's gonna go along, but it did. Definitely heard 7 very clearly, which was the next number in the pattern. That was cool.
So Kenny Harris had taught the spirits how to do this previously. This is like a technique that he uses. And essentially the spirits count with you until the point where you leave off, and then they continue. Because again, you don't tell them when you're gonna leave off. Or maybe we did, and then we told them to continue counting for us. Either way, the spirit box did have words that sounded like the associated numbers 7 and 8 after the point where we had left off.
Yeah. That was really cool.
And the spirits are used to it, so they would likely be willing to do it again.
I'm gonna try that. I want to try that really badly now.
The man himself.
Oh my goodness. Hello, Kenny.
They hate this game so much, though, so we've stopped using it, but it's a good technique for other places.
Oh, okay.
I'm
So just
assuming
not in that
also
way.
a place that has a lot of little kids. They would probably enjoy something like that.
Yeah.
So this evidence is cool. This location is also cool, and I would be interested in returning eventually if I get the opportunity from the man.
Yeah.
Kenny Harris.
That'd be cool.
So now we're gonna get into some of your personal experiences, Liz.
Yeah, of course.
So Liz had a few personal psychic experiences at some of the locations that should be shared as part of documentation.
Oh yeah.
One of the experiences happened in the Mackenzie dormitory at Alfred State College. Liz, do you happen to remember, and can you tell everyone about that experience?
I do remember. Well, one thing that happened was I was on the top bunk in my room, and I had seen a kind of, I would say he was probably around like 6 foot, blonde man with a white billowy button-up shirt just outside my window. And he wasn't standing on anything. He was a little see-through. But I've seen spirits since I was 8 years old, so it wasn't anything too nerve-wracking for me. I was just like, hey, this is my dorm. Like, you're a dude, go away. But he ended up walking across the window and then disappearing. And that was an interesting experience. And then another one in that same dorm, one of my dorm mates was in the shower and the lights went off in the bathroom, and she came running out of the bathroom screaming because the lights went out, and everyone was in their dorms. No one touched anything. All the lights were still on everywhere else, so it wasn't like a blackout. And so that was not my personal experience, but still happened in the Mackenzie dorms.
So for the individual that you seen that had the bun-up shirt,
Yeah.
did they seem older or did they seem
No, he
younger?
seemed like he was about the age of someone who would go there, like a student.
A student.
Yeah. And he had like long blonde, like probably to the at least jawline blonde hair, and like a billowy button-up shirt, and it was white. And he just casually walking on the sky by my window. And I'm like, okay. And I told my roommates about that, and then they freaked out, and then I'm like, oh, I guess you don't like spirits. I'm sorry.
It would be interesting to see if there was a previous point where the dorm was either extended out further or
Yeah.
some other building happening.
I would like to know that myself, or I wanted to know if I could find out if there was a past student who resembled that spirit, but I didn't really look too much into it, or where I didn't even know where I could look for that information. So sorry, my only light source just went out. We're good. But yeah, so that was the Mackenzie dorms were always creepy. I heard noises all the time, but I just kind of wrote it off as an old building. But it could have been some stuff.
The unfortunate part, though, was that we did try to research the location. We did try to investigate it. The first time was in the commons, though, so a lot of noise pollution.
Yes.
So it wasn't
It's
really
hard
that
to
structured of an investigation.
No, it's hard to get in there by yourself.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because we also did one of the suites before that, and the dormitories is not an environment to do a
No.
very professional investigation that's static. Everything's the same. There's not a lot of change going on or movement going on. So another location that we have investigated and received some interesting evidence at is the German settlement cemetery in Dolan, New York. There are a couple of videos that still need to be edited to see the evidence collected, but Liz had a personal experience at the church that is worth mentioning. The church is located beside the cemetery, and we looked at the location from the road.
Yeah. Okay. That was my first semester, right? I want to make sure I'm getting the evidence correct.
Yeah, because we went in the winter, so.
Yes, it was cold. I remember. Okay. So yes, I remember as we were walking back to our cars, I was staring at the church, and I could see a woman who was in a yellow dress, maybe in some sort of nursing garb or something. It was yellow and straight, and she just walked by the window, turned and looked at us, and then just kept walking. And I also saw a light following her. But it was a very quick little moment there, but it was significant enough for me to mention it to everyone, and everyone was looking, and we couldn't find anything else after she disappeared. But it was cool. That was, I think, my first investigation besides the Commons. I think that was my first one with you guys.
I'm not
I think.
No, the Commons was the day of the poorhouse. It was the same day. We did a lot that night.
Okay. Then I have bad memory.
I don't blame you. I also do, but so the church actually is mostly not used by the sounds of it because it's a hunting camp for somebody. Like that's where they stay when they're hunting.
Right.
So it's not a full church. The other piece is that I'm pretty sure that the windows have stuff in them so that you cannot actually see into them. So
that's
I'm
cool.
curious if you were seeing what at one time had been behind the window.
That's a possibility.
Because it was so dark that maybe you seen some type of like mirror reflection of something.
I'm just a floating head right now. This is funny.
It's very interesting to think about.
Yeah, that is very interesting. That looks really bad. Back and forth. Right now.
There was also a school near the church and the cemetery.
Oh, okay. I don't remember
Immediately next to this cemetery. It's just the foundation of an old building. now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I do remember that. Yeah, the cemetery was cool. I remember another cemetery that we went to that was not so cool.
Go ahead and bring that one up because I
I
know which
will.
one you're
I
talking
don't
about.
remember what it was called. You probably have that information.
But it's near the BOCES campus in
Yeah.
Hornell.
Yes. And that was not a good situation. So we were up by, I think, maybe a bunch of Civil War, or I think it might have been like it was a bunch of war tombstones, a bunch of people who died during the wars, and there was a spirit that immediately kind of latched on to me. I was talking to him, and everything seemed fine, but then I saw me and Molly, who I'm not sure is still in the group or not, but she was in there at the time. We both had seen a figure behind the tree. I think I saw a man, and I think she said something about seeing a little girl, or maybe you saw a little girl. I remember someone said that they saw like a child, and then I also saw the man behind the tree, and seeing him kind of unveiled his true intentions, and it was all kinds of malicious, trying to kind of stick to one of us to get out of the cemetery because he was stuck there. And the more he wanted me to just keep speaking to him, the more and more I spoke to him, the more vulnerable I would be and everyone else. So I immediately cut contact with him and got out of there. I was like, we have to go. And a lot of people were like, no, I don't want to go, including Jake, not understanding that we needed to go. Jake is my husband, for people who don't know. And I was just like, no, we have to go now. I am so dead serious. This is not a good spirit. He's trying to manipulate us and possibly possess us. I'm not sure completely if that's what he wanted to do. Oh, good Lord, don't die on me. I'm gonna move. But it was all around not a very good situation. So we got out of there as soon as we could. That's better.
Okay.
So, but that was probably my first time ever experiencing a not so nice spirit. Yeah, a negative spirit.
Yeah, so from my end, I did not see any spiritual
okay, so
apparitions because I did not start seeing stuff until the summer, actually after that.
Okay.
But we did end up leaving equipment in the one spot. You walked away because it was too much. I don't blame you because
that
that's
was
not
bad.
something you want to deal with.
But
when we went back, the equipment was going crazy. Like it was showing that something was there. And yeah, that was an experience.
that was an experience. That's a good way to describe it. That's an experience. For sure.
Do you happen to remember any other personal experiences at these locations that we visited?
Well, we spoke a little bit about my experiences with the Hinsdale. The first time going there, talking with Mary and talking with Mike. Those were the two that I probably gravitated towards the most. I know that we went out into the woods and I couldn't really communicate with any of the native spirits that were there, but I knew I could feel them. They just didn't want us there. So I pretty much stayed with Mary and Mike. But when we went into Laura's room, I remember you were touching this like baby stroller or something, and your hands started to hurt being in that room. And it was a very heavy room. I don't know if there was any demons in there at the time, but it was very heavy atmosphere compared to the rest of the house. So I remember that very vividly. That was not a good room, and I don't like Laura's room. I don't like going in there.
Jake did though.
Yeah, Jake did. Jake also went down into the basement and spoke to the actual demons that literally said they don't want him there
Oh.
and to leave.
Biggest piece of evidence that I have not mentioned so far is the fact that Monica made itself known during the fall 2021 investigation.
Oh yeah?
So the one student that showed up a lot in the video clips from the most recent semesters, Josh, had actually had a personal experience where he was getting premonitions about a certain lady figure that had a tie to the Hinsdale House.
Oh, okay.
Then later in the actual investigation, we went downstairs with a Ouija board. And then we got ties, like evidence relating back to Monica.
Mm-hmm.
Then we went upstairs, and well, this was later on, but we went upstairs. Then Alex happens to actually hear in his ear, rather than through any device, just whispered in his ear the name Monica.
Oh.
3 different times. Like,
Yeah.
something's got to be going on with that spirit.
Yeah, definitely. That's crazy. That's really crazy. I'm trying to think of other things.
I don't know if Dan has found any more on the spirit, if it just happened to be that one time.
Mm-hmm.
Did reach out to him. He doesn't know of any Monicas. There might be
Well, he
some
also
updates
didn't
for
know of
that,
any
but
Marys until I told him about Mary. Or the different Mary, because it wasn't the Mary that he thought it was, or something like that. I don't remember that whole thing, but I
So
do.
Alex did want to apparently put a comment that it scared him pretty badly, that like that was whispered into his ear.
Oh yeah, no, that's terrifying. I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's terrifying. Other things. I've had other experiences that have not been with the group since I moved to Delaware. I've had some. I don't know if you want me to talk about those or if that's
So
for
you are
another
free
time.
to expand upon that, because I will also be expanding upon stuff that I've done that is somewhat related, because it has a very, very interesting piece of evidence.
Okay.
It will come up at the end, but you can go ahead and briefly go into the detail about your experiences in Delaware.
Yeah, I will. So I had a little transition job at a movie theater, and this movie theater was built I think on top of an old Walmart site.
Any specifics about the name or the town?
Oh, well, it's called Milford Movies 9 in Milford, Delaware, which is where I live now. And I was the manager there for about 7 months. And while I worked there, there was these 2 theaters that had a lot of activity. Theater 2, you would constantly see these 2 little lights in this one seat, but they would go away. And so everyone was always like, oh, it's a light, it's a glare from the lights. But it sometimes it was there when the lights weren't on, and then other times it wasn't there when the lights were on. So that made me feel that it wasn't the lights, because the lights don't move, the room doesn't move, so there's no way that a glare could come and go unless that's not what it is. And so I ended up investigating that by myself with some of my coworkers who are also very into.
An actual investigation, or you guys happen to look into it?
I
Like,
would say it was an actual investigation, to the point where I just kind of, it was after hours, everyone was gone, and me and my coworkers stayed to go. I had my pendulum with me, so I started asking it questions, and I connected with the spirit. His name is Dylan, and he's just a sad, lonely boy. He's still there. But yeah, he was like, I think he said he was 28 years old, and he was just sad and lonely. His favorite music's jazz. we went and we had a good whole like 20 questions kind of thing, and it was a good time. But Theater 4 is the most interesting because not only have employees experienced some things in that theater, but customers came up and told us that they had experienced things in that theater. So in Theater 4, I would go in, and same thing with Laura's room. Such a heavy, just atmosphere, presence. It's just so, the air is thick and humid, and you just go in, and your whole body just drains of energy. And sometimes there's a smell in the air, sometimes there's not. In the projector room, which no one can get into without a key, and no one's allowed up there because we don't use those projectors anymore. I saw a figure, like a shadow figure is what I would describe it as, and then my eyes started to burn and water. And my one coworker, who's also very in tune to the spirit world, she went in there and got nauseous and actually threw up from going into the theater. Other people have experienced touching, like things touching them, or hearing jingling of keys. There's a lot of that, like a lot of weird noises in there. And then also, while looking in the cameras, those orbs or those like lights that were in 2 are also all over the place in 4. So anytime I had to go in 4, I would bring someone with me, run in and run back out, because I did not want to deal with anything that's in there. It didn't feel human to me. It felt like an evil entity, but I don't want to expand too far on that because I don't know. I've never experienced those types of spirits, if you can call them that. But yeah, so those have been my main experiences since living in Delaware.
Okay. I'm sure you'll continue to see stuff because
Oh yeah, I'm sure I will.
you've worked on it for a while to be able to see that stuff.
Yeah, I'm going to Schenectady to a cemetery where some of my family members are buried, and my whole family wants me to bring a pendulum and talk to the spirits in the cemetery. So I'll get some more experience this October.
Oh, in October even?
Yes, it'll be in October, so it'll be a good time.
During the spooky season.
Mm-hmm.
So let me get into the one piece of evidence that was so, like, I liked it so much that I had to feature it in this video, even though it's not directly tied to the club.
Yeah, of course.
But one other piece of compelling evidence that I can show for this event is the running footsteps that were heard as well as recorded this summer at the Greystone Manor. 3 members of the club, me, Zach, and Bella, helped Sheila Cromer and Mike Dunning with our documentary named Our Untold Stories over the summer. And this happened to be involved in that documentary. So during the process of filming one of the investigations, we clearly documented running footsteps from the floor above us, even though the only other people in the building were on the top floor with a floor between us. Here's the video showing the experience I am referring to.
street meeting.
Who's running?
That was running.
Yeah, that was running.
You heard that? Was that a? Didn't sound like a person.
I'll say that did not sound like.
That wasn't a dog or cat.
So around 9:07, we heard something running. Oh, was anybody from the group that you were with running around at like 9:07?
Like running.
No, downstairs. We could hear someone running back and forth in the kitchen area, back and forth in the basement.
Oh no, we weren't here. No,
Yeah.
we were up here the whole time.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, that was running.
The very first time you hear it, there's nothing done to the video at all. That's how clear it was.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was
Like-
very fast running.
As of right now, that is the best piece of evidence that I have. Because
That's a good piece of evidence, though. Yeah.
And I immediately go up and check it out. There's nothing there.
Mm-hmm.
I then later actually end up asking the other, like, they were all in a group, the people that were upstairs, and this happened to be one of the people that was in the group, so I asked them to make sure that nobody was running around or anything. And
yeah,
I don't know how you can disprove that.
No, you can't. You really can't.
Because everybody was in groups, and there was only 2 groups, so.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And
I love when things are that clear too. When it's like you can't even debunk this kind of thing like that. That was what that was.
Plus, I'm pretty sure it would take a little bit more than just a little Yorkshire Terrier to
Oh,
make that
definitely. If
noise.
that's the kind of dog that was there, yeah, no.
Something similar to that, if I'm not correct that they are Yorkies, but
Mhm.
it was a small dog. It's not going to make that noise.
No, that was a human for sure. That sounded human.
The paranormal is interesting.
Very.
So for more details about the videos we helped with this summer, I will be posting about it later this year to say. So stay tuned if you are interested in seeing me, Zach, and Bella in our Untold Stories documentary. As far as evidence, is there anything else you can think of?
Not that I can think of right now, no. I pretty much went through everything that I personally experienced or that I remembered other people experienced. So yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and do the outro then.
Okay.
Thanks everyone for checking out this event. I took a lot of time to make sure the evidence was fitting for this event, so hopefully everyone thought the evidence was interesting. This will be the last event I host as part of the Pioneer Paranormal Society.
Mm-hmm.
Keep an eye on the club's Instagram and Facebook accounts for news on upcoming events. Also, keep an eye on my accounts because I'm going to be working on starting a new paranormal group in the Western New York area that might work with a club this fall semester. Keep it spooky, everyone. And good night.
Bye. Thanks for having me.